Now, there's a question out there I'm sure a lot of people are asking. That's number one, who am I? Well, maybe I can explain that a little bit better, but instead of saying who am I, by telling you what's relevant in this conversation with being a coach of the New York Giants, what I'm about. And what I'm about is an old school physical mentality, okay? We're going to put a product on the field that the people of this city and region will be proud of, because this team will represent this area. We will play fast, we'll play downhill, we'll play aggressive. We'll punch you in the nose for 60 minutes, we'll play every play like it has a history and a life of its own with a relentless competitive attitude. I want the people that pay their hard-earned money in the neighborhoods of New York, North Jersey, South Jersey to come to our games and know that the players on the field play with the same attitude they wake up with every morning. That is blue collar, it's hard work, it's in your face. We're not going to back down from anybody. We're going to come to work every day and grind it out the way they do in their jobs every day. And they can invest their money in our program knowing it's worthwhile. They put a Giants uniform on, they put a Giants hat or jersey on, that it's not representing just the 53 on the field, but it's representing their neighborhoods, their communities, and their families with the values they have instilled in their children.
When one door closes, another opens. The New York Giants signed Joe Judge as their head coach moving into the season. And what he brought to this team was fire that we had lacked for years, and he brought discipline, which we haven't had since Coughlin. Despite a 1-7 start, we fought to the very end despite an abysmal NFC East. 5 of our 10 losses that year were one possession. Our defense held strong and the coaching did what they had to do, but our offense couldn't muster anything. Our O-line was trash. We gave up more sacks than last year. Daniel Jones was struggling early on. Fans started to show their true colors and wanted to go for the next college prospect over him. Saquon went down. We didn't have any star power at wide receiver. Darius Slayton couldn't progress to a number 1. Sterling Shepard was hurt all the time. Golden Tate was washed. And, well, we didn't have any star power and quality depth at the wide receiver back end. And Evan Ingram, don't get me started on him. He has that Jekyll and Hyde effect on this team, and it's something we cannot tolerate moving forward. Despite the 1-7 start, the NFC East was abysmal, and opportunity presented itself for our first place since the division was basically up for grabs. And what we did was basically capped off 4 straight. We defeated Washington on the road for the division series. The following week we defeated Philadelphia back at home on another defensive effort, and for the first time in 4 years. Then after the bye week, we went onto the road. Despite a Joe Burrow-less team, they played close, but nonetheless we capped out the victory on a defensive effort once more. And then the next game, we had no hope of winning that game. None of us expected to win considering Daniel Jones was hurt and Seattle had too much firepower. Nonetheless, we got it done thanks to Patrick Graham's defense playing nonstop and putting pressure all over Russell Wilson and locking down every receiver he has to throw to. It was another defensive effort win. We were 5-7 at first place of the NFC East. Things were looking good for Giants fans. We were looking good. Even the media, who normally bashes us, took our side.
Listen, physical. Like if you describe this football team in the last 4 weeks, that's what they are. They want to run downhill at you. They lose Saquon Barkley, still doesn't deter them. This is who they're going to be. Bring tight ends in. Ingram, he's willing to stick his face in there and participate in blocking. The offensive line is getting progressively better each week. And think about, they beat Seattle with Colt McCoy, again, throwing for 100 yards. Why? Because they're not afraid to keep running the ball. They're going to control it and then flip it over. Defensively, no different. Be physical, be nasty. That's defined this football team. Give Joe Judge a ton of credit.
The Giants are the best team in the NFC East for one reason. They're the only team with an extremely consistent trait, and that consistent trait is the most important trait anyone in the NFC East has. They absolutely compete all out 100% every single snap, every single game. They are physical. They fly to the ball on offense. They understand what they are now, and they do that. I love the way that this team has now found an identity. It's not about necessarily if we will win every game. It's about how we will come out, compete, and play every game, and Joe Judge has that entire team on the same page.
Yesterday, but I think the best way to describe Joe Judge is, anyone can see adversity. It takes a strong person to see an opportunity. Greeny, you mentioned this team was 1-7. How did he not lose this locker room? Not only not lose it, but really galvanize it. And they have decided and started to play bully football on both sides of the line of scrimmage. Now think about it. Football, for all the X's and O's that we love, and I love them more than anybody, is about the line of scrimmage. And you talk about a team that no one's going to want to play here in the last month of this season and probably leading into the playoffs because they're going to win this division. And now you're talking about a football team that as long as the quarterback doesn't give the ball away, you got to get punched in the mouth for 70 snaps. They're going to be physical. They believe in their coach. Their coach has instilled belief in their players, and their locker room thinks we are a good football team. It's not the we're the best team in the bad division thought process. They think we are a good football team, and because of our physicality, we can beat anyone that we're going to play.
Nonetheless, well, both teams were 5-7, the Washington football team and the New York Giants. We held the series tiebreaker due to the sweep, and we were both 5-7 at first place heading into Week 14. The Washington football team looked to face off against San Francisco, and we looked to face against Arizona. Unfortunately for us, we got our asses handed to us. And to make matters worse, Washington upsetted the San Francisco 49ers, and they were first place by 1 game at 6-7 to us at 5-8. And to make matters worse for us as well, we lost 2 straight. We lost to Cleveland and Baltimore in blowout fashion, similar to Arizona. It seemed like it was over for us. Our season was about to go up in shambles again. That was until Week 15.
Haskins on 4th down. Here comes the rush. He's been sacked the last 2 plays. Penalty flag has been thrown. Here we go. As Haskins fires downfield to the end zone. Ball was batted down by Shaquille Griffin.
If that wasn't enough, look at the following week, Week 16. 2 opportunities presented itself to our favor.
And that's it. Carolina spoils Washington's target. Down at 2. As Hurts is picked off. The 3rd turnover. Here in the 4th quarter, it's Trayvon Diggs picking off his former teammate at the University of Alabama. He said he wanted to get one off him.
It seemed like the writing on the wall was written for us. Week 17. If we defeated Dallas and Philadelphia defeats Washington, we would be in the playoff. And we would be the first 1-7 team, 0-5 team to make the playoffs and win the NFC East title for the first time in 9 years.
To take their first lead of the day, Dalton in trouble back there, throws it up for grabs, and it's picked! Intercepted by McKinney!
It happened. For the first time in 4 years, we defeated Dallas at home thanks to an Xavier McKinney pick to seal the win. We were all rejoiced knowing that we had a shot at winning the NFC East, and that all Philadelphia had to do was put their differences aside and let Jalen Hurts play and show what he can do and defeat Washington. Moving along, heading into that game, the first 3 quarters looked very competitive. It was a 17-14 affair, and well, coming the 4th quarter, things took a turn for the worse. And just like that, the Eagles had screwed us over.